Okay, guys, here we go. First things first. looks like I got a little something to fix here on the you guys' chat box. Touch your boxes here for just a moment. Hold on, let me fix that. First thing I did was touch your boxes inappropriately, and I apologize for that. Okay, put that there. A boom like that there. That should be big enough. So that's what I wish she said. All right, we're good. Okay, guys. Now, welcome to Nothing. As you guys know, this is our live call-in show. Nothing, because nothing is off limits, and because that way, when people say, "What are you watching?" you can honestly say nothing. Before we get started on anything else, Dark's Lifer. Lifer's right here. Okay, Lifer's here in with us. I just checked. Excuse me, guys. I keep going to my nose. I was doing coke. No, I got to tickle my nose. I just checked my Twitter real quick before we started. And Lifer showed me something that I just need to share with you guys. Hold on, let me find it real quick. This will make me laugh very much. Hold on, let me screen grab it. Here it is. You guys need to see this. Now. Now, I didn't get to read the article, of course. I just saw this. Lifer just posted this for me a little while ago. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez announces self-care break before congressional session even starts. So what the assumption I can make is, and Lifer, anybody else who read this can correct me if I am wrong, is basically Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the just absolutely airheaded dimwit that won a congressional seat down in New York. She's a hardcore socialist and as far as I'm concerned, my opinion, a slow wit. Apparently, am I correct in assuming that she needed a safe space, or some alone time, or maybe a therapy kitty, or a hug or something before the congressional session could even begin? I assume that's what took place there, guys. Yes. Couldn't afford to rent $4,000 suits. Yeah, that's her, Andrew. That's her. Yeah, she. I mean, our first topic of the day is socialism, so we're going to talk a lot about that anyway. And I think she's perfectly indicative of my feelings towards socialism. I know a lot of you guys' feeling towards socialism, that you have to be defective at some level to think that it's a functional form of governing. Maybe she was on her period. Some self-care wink. That's what I was thinking too. Jake says some self-care wink wink. Yeah, I was thinking now that would be more understandable. I mean, maybe she was like super excited about what was about to take place. That type of self-care you could make more of a case for than having to go hide in your corner and gather yourself together. As far as I'm concerned, anybody that needs a safe space for every day-to-day life. We're not talking about a safe space because somebody's currently physically threatening you with a weapon or something. We're talking about if you're a college student and a speaker that holds different points of view than do you comes in, you feel like you need to go to a safe space and undergo counseling, you're not really a truly functioning human being. I mean, there's just no way. There's no case to be made for it. There's going to be things much more dire throughout life than that you're going to have to deal with and work through. If you can't take the idea of somebody with a differing opinion than yours speaking to those who may be in agreement with this person, and your instinct, rather than to go confront them and hit them with your own set of facts and try and show why they're wrong, why their way of thinking isn't the best method forward. If that's not what you do is go hide and ask and have to pet a kitty in a safe space, you're non-functional. She's going to force the filthy white men to touch her, then call her rape. Yeah, she a Me Too move, you're saying, Lex? Could be. Poppy just said the same thing. You can't escape it, is you. Lifer said she missed her yoga and home-cooked salmon. Seriously. Oh, Lifer, that's real? That's why she needed... it's almost she's. And I've said, I'll be the first to admit, I voted for Trump because I'm in favor of a lot of his policies, and the far left is just completely put me off. That said, I'm aware that Trump is a buffoon and a borderline moron at times. She's full-time. I mean, why would the left goes on and on about Trump's intellect not being up to snuff, so why would you be embracing someone who is clearly 2 steps lower on the evolutionary scale than is he? That was real, Ghost. That was real. Lifer, it was a real cover of the Post. Oh, and Lifer said that's absolutely what she said, why she needed her safe space. I mean, that's not a functional person right there. If that is something that can detract you from getting your day-to-day routine, can you imagine someone like that in an emergency situation? Her thought processes are going to be either non-existent, and if they do exist, they're going to be useless. Because when the slightest hint of anything that's going to be a challenge arises, she hides. What good is she? Let's see. And this person is in a position of power. It's frightening, Lex. Want to spray? We'll save that for its own show, because I've got a lot of thoughts about penis enlargement pills. So I have some big thoughts about it. Get it? All right. Well, with that, let's jump right into our first topic of the day, which is, of course, socialism. When I say topic of the day, socialism, who believes that this system, A, works at all, or B, could ever effectively work here in America, and C, suppose, okay, so we're talking about Ocasio-Cortez there. Suppose she gets elected president, or Bernie Sanders gets elected president, and you get a Congress that is sympathetic to their socialist views. The third question would be, would the country survive that, or would it immediately devolve into violence? Yeah, actually, David, I'm glad that you're bringing that up. He's talking about healthcare in Amherst, Nova Scotia, because one of the things that's been phenomenal about having the channel and doing these is we get filtered information from our media. I'm finding out that most of you around the world seem to get filtered information from your media as well about America, and learning things like what I learned from Joe Kage last time. I haven't seen Joe in here yet, but I haven't seen a lot. He might be. I haven't seen a lot of the chat yet. What I learned from Joe, who lives in Germany, is what the left tries to play off as the successes of Europe's healthcare system is not necessarily the case coming from people who are living it. Please check last post. My safe place is on a farm of horrors. I like plowing things, Wolverine says. Oh, Joe is here. So, and Joe, it was really eye-opening, because that's not, again, we have a very left-leaning media for the most part, much, much more so since Trump became president. And so what they are either ignorant to how things are actually done over there, or they just slant it, as they do most of the things they write about. They slant the story to fit their narrative, because what Joe described is not a healthcare nirvana. It's different than ours. What Joe described definitely has some perks that are better than our system, but also has some pitfalls that are worse. Just from, like Joe was saying, if you're just a regular run-of-the-mill, Joe.
I see what you did there.
Shut up,
Okay.
That's kid. And he was appreciating my wordplay. What he's saying basically is, if you are not of the elite who can afford to supplement the single-payer healthcare system there, the system that's provided for all, you could be waiting a long time before you see a doctor or whoever you need to see, in lieu of the people who are of the upper tier economically, who can afford these things, and you get basically their scraps. Now here, you generally can see a doctor in a timely manner no matter what your stature. For the most part, for the absolute part, if you have no insurance, you'll see a doctor in a timely manner, because people will just end up going to the emergency room where they can't refuse them care. So there are pluses to what goes on, or at least let's just say for Germany, what was described when it goes on in Germany, I believe it's similar to a lot of Europe. There are pluses and there are clearly minuses as well. Hold on, somebody. Tyrese says, "Hey Curtis, my answer is no, because times are going to be worse. The food prices and beverages will go higher. Plus, you have to be 21 years old to get food stamps." And you know what? In just the overall take on socialism, for me, is socialism thrives on and promotes mediocrity. Socialism wants everybody, regardless of effort, to be in the same pool. It's like if you have this person who is a go-getter, works hard, grinds away every day to get things done, they should not be any better off than this person who just says, you know what, I'd just rather have life give me things than go out and gain my own. And socialism believes those two people should be the same. Socialism, of course, hates the successful. It hates the wealthy. Being somebody who has been my whole life lower middle class to middle class, from an economic standpoint, I've never hated rich people. Listen, if somebody became rich through illegal means, then yes, I have an issue with that. If somebody became rich because they came up with a great product, they opened a good store, whatever the case may be, they were a world-class athlete, whatever, good for you. What the hell? How the hell does that hurt me? Why do we have so much of a hatred for rich people in America? No, granted, there are some rich people who are complete douchebags. We've all seen them, but there are people who are complete douchebags in every strata in society, be it economic, social, whatever the case may be. There's always douchebags. So why do we hate rich people so much? Is it jealousy? I want to see what some of you guys have to say. I'll open the phone line very, very shortly. I just want to see what some of you guys have to say. The Cortez discussion is rubbing off and making you a Democrat. Could be, Lifer. I got too damn it! You sent me that picture, and just that imagery knocked my IQ down a few more points.
You had left?
Not an awful lot. Yeah, fuck Bill Gates and his philanthropist rich ass. Good point, like Galahad says. You get somebody like Bill Gates, who, as a person, I'm not even that big a fan of Bill Gates, but Galahad's 100% right. I mean, he spends billions of dollars helping people throughout the world. But, again, he's in that class of people that especially socialists despise. Dylan says it's pure jealousy, laziness. People don't want to work for their money, expect everything to be given to them. I agree with you. Chrome says, it's ironic to see how many companies support socialism nowadays. Facebook, Google, Twitter. Gee, I wonder why they support it. It's almost like it benefits only them. Excellent point. Lick says socialism is just a code name for lazy fuckwads. It seems like Lick's, you know what it is? The two groups that seem to really support socialism, as far as the two economic groups, are the top tier type for instance, in Hollywood, who have made millions of dollars in the movie industry or whatever, and are so well set that bringing in socialism isn't going to change their way of life. They've already established their way of life. So it's easy for them to say, yes, we should spread it out to all. And those who don't want to do anything. The people in the middle class who are working every day and stuff, it would be the worst thing in the world, because it's going to raise taxes on you to where you're not going to be able to function. If you want to pay for all the social programs that a Nimrod like Ocasio-Cortez promotes, you know, the single-payer health care, the free college for all, eliminating all the college debt, just basically government taking over and paying for everything for you, even left-leaning economic experts will tell you that the price tag is in the, I believe it's the $40 to $41 trillion range. And people like Cortez will say, well, we're going to tax the 1%ers. Okay, here's the problem. First of all, they pay more taxes than the rest of us do anyway, by a lot. Think about it. If you're middle class, once you pay your taxes all year, but then you get that tax return at the end of the year, the government gives you some back, figure out what your actual percentage was. It's not that high. It's going to go up dramatically. That money that you can get from those 1%ers, first of all, is not going to be a drop in that $41 trillion bucket. Second of all, will damage our entire economy, because the people at the top are the people who provide the jobs. And if you have them making less money, it only tends to reason they're going to start cutting back so they can make more, which is going to cut down on jobs. Thomas says, I think it's pretty easy for socialism to work. Oh, he's in Denmark. Awesome. Because a lot of our society is built on some of the ideals of socialism, even when we have liberal prime ministers. Now, Thomas, and I asked this because of my ignorance. Now, Denmark, is it strictly socialist? I mean, would you consider yourself a 100% socialist society, or is there a lot of private and individual elements to your economics, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm curious. This is what I love about having people from all over the world in here. Because I didn't catch that, Poppy. I didn't know what you mean, 4 to 7 days of the week. Summer says, actually, Curtis, young 20-year-olds in college do need support, but it's because you can't be ambitious while constantly being stripped of money to pay for knowledge you have years after acquiring it. Yes and no, Summer. I agree with that. I agree that college is wildly expensive. I agree there are, but I would suggest that there are a lot, and a lot of them have already been instituted. There are a lot of methods, fuck off train, to ease that financial burden outside of saying free college for all. I just don't believe in that. Brax is in college right now. I'm paying for the big hunk of it. New York's instituted a program here where there's a state program. If you make under a certain amount of money, that will help you with tuition. I'm all for things like that. I don't have a problem. The tax burden for something like that is minimal, and even we may not even qualify for it. We got to do the paperwork. So whether I get it or not has nothing to do with it. I don't have a problem paying for that to help kids out. I have a problem with just saying, okay, everybody goes to college for free. Now you have people that aren't even going to take advantage of the education going because it's free, and nobody having to put any effort at all into working for what they want, which in this case is an education. So yes, I have some sizable student loans on his behalf. He's taken out some. I took out the majority of them, but that's my choice because I don't want him to have that burden when he gets out. But even at that, the burden he's going to have is not. It's not something that's going to destroy him, even if he didn't have me helping pay for it. It's something that he could pay off over time once he gets out of college. With the degree he's going to get, he should be able to get a decent paying job. And with the assistance that's been granted through New York, that'll knock some of the thousands of dollars off it. It wouldn't be overwhelming. What I have a problem with is the people that feel like they need to go to college for free. It should be their right, and somebody else should pay for it for them. Listen, you need to start learning that the more you put into something, the more you get back out of it. I have no problem with giving benefits to anybody that is working in the system, that is trying to get ahead. I used to see, well, I don't want to get too far off track. When I used to drive a city bus, I used to see both sides of it. I would see women who were going to work in this shitty factory we had in town every day, grinding it away. The one I'm thinking of specifically was a single mom. She did some waitressing at nights too, just to provide for her kids. Worked her ass off. Man, you can take taxes out of my paycheck all day long. Not that I'm a rich man, but it's the least you can do. You know, if I'm doing a little better than you, and a few bucks a week from my paycheck's going to help you be able to feed your kids, awesome. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think most people do. Then I would take a run to the local college where I would hear the kids sitting on, and I say kids, these are people in their, late teens, 20s, discussing all the ways to beat the system. Basically, they had all the elements put in place so that they could keep getting their benefits, their welfare, without actually having to do anything. They were perfectly able-bodied to work. The reason they were on I found out, the bus going to college, was I don't know if it still is at that time, one of the ways you could keep your benefits was to be enrolled in college. So what a lot of them would do, they would go for a week or so, stop going. A lot of the time, and I got this from their conversations, their caseworkers wouldn't even realize that they had stopped going. And if they did, they would blame it on, they felt inferior. If sometimes it would be, they would use the excuse that there was language barriers. They weren't speaking the language well. And it wasn't just people whose native language is other than English. It was lots of white people too. And the white folks, it would be, well, they felt inferior because they didn't have the intelligence to keep up, and they felt like they were being singled out, and they felt conspicuous because they weren't smart enough to do it. So they basically call themselves dumb in the hopes that the people that they were working with, or the people that they saw at the social services office would say, oh, well, I understand. You don't worry about it. You just go on home. We'll keep sending you the checks. I mean, the only reason I know this stuff happened is because they said it. I mean, they were saying it. So it's not something I made up. Oh, my friend, I'm gonna say cough because I can't read for sure what the name is. I'll say cough. Oi, just dropping by to give a little something. Really love the videos you make. Take care. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. That's very kind of you. And I hope I didn't offend you. I'm curious if you're still in here. If somebody recognizes it, what these characters there that see with that little squiggle on it and stuff like that. It's just interesting to me because I don't know where that's from. I'm fascinated by simple things. You guys know that.
Yeah.
When you're me, you got to be satisfied by simple, small things because otherwise I would never be satisfied. The degree, a games design degree is nice. You learn from it, but you want to do more. Yeah, actually, Chrome, he's already thought of that. But even though it's game design, he is going to have a computer science degree, which covers a lot of fields, and he's minoring in psychology. So he's going to have a lot of options. That was my thing. And fortunately, with Brax, Braxton is very clear-minded when it comes to things like that. He understands that he's going to school to get a degree that will work for him for the rest of his life, not to get the degree that's easiest to attain or, that seems like a good time. I mean, he's really thought it through carefully. His degree should really cover a wide variety of jobs he could do. Okay. Summer. That's fair. It would definitely be taken advantage of, but those who truly need help would also utilize it. Definitely a two-sided coin. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Summer. I'm not against giving assistance. Like I say, this thing that New York is doing, as much as I hate living in New York, I agree with that. I don't have a problem. And again, it has nothing to do with him. I don't care if we don't get to take advantage of it. I don't mind paying some taxes to help kids out to get through school in a respect like that. But what we're talking about there is a lot different than paying for everybody's college. We're talking about now you're narrowed it down to kids who have a desire to go to school, have gone through the process to get into school, and now let's see what we can do to help ease their burden. Got no problem with that. Plus, you're not talking about raising taxes at a ridiculous rate for something like that. We're talking, a few dollars per person type thing. I don't think much of anybody would have an issue with that. Same thing goes towards health care. I don't have a problem with helping people out who are underinsured. I have a problem with helping people out who don't want to contribute at all. You don't want to work. You don't want to be part of the working society. You don't want to try and get yourself ahead. Why should we be the ones to get you ahead? I don't understand that. Why would anyone even expect that? Okay, I got to open the phone lines, guys. I apologize. I just get talking to you on the chat, and I don't want to ignore the phone line as well. Let's see. Let me get this up here. I see Wolverine got here. DBBBBX. When you got a screen name like that, odds are good you were going to do something that was going to get you tossed out of here. Anyway, all right, let me put the number up here. And anybody that wants to call in on the topic, feel free to do so. I try not to. I went almost half an hour. I don't want to cut any of our topics short. Oh, shoot. You know what? It will help if I turn on my Skype calls too, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. Come on. Hold on, guys. I'm getting it. All right. Now you guys should be able to start getting through. We definitely have the population spread out to some, at least. I don't really advocate for too much because I know I'm not the most knowledgeable person, but I see both sides argument. What you said right there, Summer, is indicative of intelligence that is far too often lacking. Not everybody, myself certainly included, knows something about everything. And when you're aware of that, it makes you a much smarter person, as far as I'm concerned. Hello, caller. Who's here?
Hello?
Yeah, who is this?
This is Sheeps.
Hey, Sheeps, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing fine. So finally I got through. I've been trying for like 7 hours on the past streams.
Awesome. But for those who don't know, Sheeps is a real regular with us here in the streams. He's been with us for a long time now. Sheeps hasn't it been over a year, right?
Yeah, it's been like I think 15 months now. So
Yeah.
I've been here for a while.
I know you have. No, refresh for everybody. What country are you from, Sheeps?
I'm from Denmark.
From Denmark, and that's what we're just talking about. And now, your system of government over there, how would you describe it, Sheeps?
I would describe it as basically it's socialism, but it's a perfect example actually because some sectors of our society works amazingly.
Okay.
Others are garbage.
And don't you think that's and that's what frustrates me about America and Americans? I don't think they want to paint other areas as being this perfect nirvana, whether it's socialism or whatever it may be, that we're lagging so far behind. I don't think there's anybody that believes, not even necessarily their system of government, but their government itself works perfectly. Now, you guys, so you're considered socialist, but you guys, am I wrong? You guys have a lot of, for lack of a better term, capitalistic elements to your society, don't you?
Well, yeah, we do. For example, just to touch on some of the areas that are very socialist, college here and basically every other kind of education is free.
Okay.
And I'm. Some people will say I'm taking advantage of it, but I'm not. I'm really just getting myself an education because that's what people do.
Sure.
But I am abusing the system a little bit.
Okay.
See, I'm going to be attending a college in England, and
okay.
if our society didn't pay for that, I myself would have to shell out. I think it's somewhere in the area of $500,000 for it.
Wow!
Now,
Holy shit!
Yeah, see, that's where our society is a bit fucked. If we don't have this sort of system that keeps us in place where, the whole education thing gets taken care of, the price of it would skyrocket.
Okay. That's interesting.
So,
go ahead.
In a sense, we're kind of stuck in this system because if we were to break away from it, you would have electricians paying $300,000 or something to get a degree.
Well, it's interesting what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong. Kind of what I'm getting here is basically what Summer and I were just talking about. It seems like everybody has one extreme or the other. So now, and again, if I'm getting this correctly, what Sheeps is saying over there now, the free college is so ingrained into the system that to take that away would destroy their economy. The same way that instituting a system that pays for everyone's college, or free college for all, would destroy ours, instead of either system having a case of, okay, this is what college costs, here's where the government can step in and try and make it more affordable for you. It just seems like it's always all or nothing. Is that about accurate?
First of all, fuck you, train. I could hear that in the background.
Absolutely.
And back on topic, yeah, that's pretty much accurate. Another area of our welfare system is, well, welfare, and especially hospitals and doctors and stuff. And to touch on that, for example, basically, I had a medical issue a few years ago where my kneecap got destroyed, and
Oof.
I basically needed a replacement.
Okay.
So what happened was, first, of course, I was rushed to the emergency room, and they briefly just decided, okay, we need to do something here because, well, his kneecap is destroyed.
Right.
So they basically numbed me up good and said, well, here's the thing. You have about 25 minutes to decide what we're going to do. Otherwise, you will basically your knee will start dying, and thus your leg will start dying, and you get the feel.
Jeez. Yeah.
So they said, well, basically, we can operate on you now, or we can let you die. So I said, well, operate me now, please.
Let me think for a minute. Yeah. What the hell?
So they put me under the knife, and everything went smoothly. I'm perfectly fine now.
Oh, good.
But where this sort of comes in is there's this stigma that if something urgent happens, like, for example, this where I had maybe a few hours to decide if I wanted to live or die, you still don't have the opportunity to get examined quickly. That's not necessarily right. I got in, I think from the
Wow.
time my kneecap was actually busted and until I was fixed was probably 2 hours, maybe at most.
Wow.
So I got taken care of pretty quickly. But then
Right.
if you flip it around, you can also look at my grandfather. My grandfather was a lifelong smoker, and he had severe lung disease and heart disease.
Okay.
So he got hospitalized in late March of 2016.
Okay.
And they said, well, we're just keeping him on watch. There's nothing serious wrong with him. On the 1st of April, he passed away in the
Oh
hospital.
my gosh. Now,
They
see,
decided that he was not important. He was not ill enough for them to take
them.
care of. So they just left him there.
now that's a common refrain I do hear, and I'd like to hear from more of you guys outside of the U.S. It's a common refrain I hear from people that have a single-payer healthcare system or healthcare for all, is that there's a lot of times it's the wait times. First of all, I hear horror stories about wait times all the time, and that there's a hierarchy of it. Just like Joe explained last time about Germany's, where you have that system that pays for healthcare for all. However, if you can afford to supplement it, if you can afford to get your own private insurance as well, that is offered out there, well, we'll prioritize you and we'll make your hangnail more important than this guy's gangrene type thing. Is that true?
Well, sort of. Like, over here, now I should say I've been a relatively healthy person all my life, so I haven't really had a brush with death yet or any major disease where I would need any major insurance to cover me.
Gotcha.
But what I know, especially from my grandfather, because after he died we had to take care of everything, and I know that I remember from back then that we had to sort of touch on the subject of security, or not security, fucking what's it called, insurance.
Okay.
So I know he had some sort of insurance, health insurance, because basically I remember when we went to collect his body from the morgue and then take him to, well, the church, they gave us a bill saying that, you know, this is just for the hospital stay, for transporting him out here, for everything. And my uncle took it and said, well, he had insurance, so they'll probably contact you within a week. So he had some sort of insurance that took care of stuff that the normal health insurance doesn't take care of.
Oh, okay.
So I think, yeah, like exactly what Joe said yesterday, or
it's a combination. Now, here's something, too. I got this in the chat, Sheeps. Thomas is saying the Danish healthcare sector is really understaffed and it fucks up waiting time a lot. So and the reason that's important to me, too, and again, I'm not speaking from facts here, guys. Don't get offended. I'm speaking from things people have told me and things like this, where I think this is what Thomas is alluding to. Is the socialist society, socialized medicine, does it reduce the rate of pay for medical professionals to where maybe it is difficult to keep them staffed?
Well, I would say I fully agree with Thomas. The staffing of, and another thing we've done here, we've basically, like, instead of having a hospital every 10 miles,
right,
we have one giant hospital every 50. And basically
Really?
that does it so that, you know, instead of having one every 10 miles where you can have just, let's shoot here and say 20 doctors, now we have one every 50 miles where, in theory, you know, that would mean there should be like 80 doctors.
Right.
But there's only about 50. Because those other doctors that live in those smaller hospital areas, maybe they don't have cars, maybe they're too old to get back and forth.
Understood.
So that kind of makes it difficult for a lot of people. And then there's also the process of it all, because getting even a nurse's degree here takes, give or take, about 4 or 5 years maybe.
Okay.
That's a long time. And in the market today, when people know that it's also very difficult to get jobs in, for example, hospitals, a lot of people say, well, everybody needs a plumber, everybody needs an electrician, it's much easier just to go and be that.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And Thomas just updated what he was saying. Okay, I looked at that the wrong way. Thomas is saying, no, it's so expensive that they don't hire a lot because they have to save expenses. Okay, so basically they can't staff to where they'd want because the money isn't there to support it. See, that's one of the things that I would fear, too, in socialized medicine when you go into, you know, what some Americans are talking about with healthcare for all. it all sounds fine and good, but again, first of all, you know it's going to have to be a substantial, you got to get the money somewhere, so it's going to have to come in the form of taxes. Well, now you got to start balancing the scale of how high can we tax the middle class of America before they come after us, is basically what it amounts to. So when you're going to try and keep those taxes down, it seems like you're naturally going to run into a case of just what Thomas describes here, where the hospitals are going to have to keep their costs down. And so now, again, you've started that whole ball rolling of long wait times, maybe not the best of healthcare, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Well, another example, and this is with the taxes again. I work in a supermarket / convenience store called Facta.
Okay.
It's basically our Walgreens.
Okay.
And to compare, with salaries, I get paid minimum wage, which is, I'd say, roughly $24 an hour.
Okay.
But thanks to our taxes, once all that's said and done, I'm actually only getting $11 an hour.
See, that's what that was going to be my next question for all of you who call in or commenting here. I'm watching the comments too, outside of the U.S. That's another common refrain I've heard is the taxes are just brutal. And again, what I don't think a lot of politicians even look for is, somebody brain dead like this Ocasio-Cortez.
Mm-hmm.
When you come forward and you make all these promises, free healthcare, free college, we're gonna pay off all your existing college debt. It all sounds fine and good, and you can get some simpletons to believe that you can do it. But when you actually come to get the money for it, what happens then? Mm-hmm. Because the only option you will have to pay for those services is to exponentially raise the taxes. The majority of people in America work paycheck to paycheck. When you start showing people that now you can't feed your kids because your income tax rate just went up 15%, that's when things like what are going on in Paris happens here in America. But knowing how Americans conduct themselves anyway and the aggressiveness over here, I think it would make what happened in Paris look like, a campfire where they were roasting marshmallows.
Yeah, and another example, you have, this is the thing again about, I hate quoting Trump, but fake news, it's everywhere. We have a local newspaper here near where I live, and the man who prints it, he's an American who immigrated here a few years ago. And basically, he did an issue not too long ago where it was basically Bernie Sanders jacking off onto the Danish flag and screaming free healthcare.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's gold, right?
That's good. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
And that's a perfect example. You see, Bernie, every single time there was a debate with him, or any time anything was even mentioned about wealth, it would always be, well, we have to look to countries like Denmark. Always Denmark. That ignores such a large perspective of it. It's painting a giant happy face over a bomb, basically. Like,
right.
Yes, sure, it works if you want it to look. If you want to look at it that way, it works. But if that's like telling a story without mentioning that the main character dies somewhere down the line.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. They're cherry picking the parts that they want that they want to exploit.
Exactly.
Well, Sheeps, listen, thank you so much for all that insight. I appreciate it. I got to let you go. I just want to get some more callers in, and I want to address what Jeff is saying here. But thank you very much for that. I appreciate that a lot.
Well, Grant, it was great talking to you. And, as always, Bombsy is watching over you.
Absolutely. Bombsy is the best. Thanks, Sheeps.
See you guys.
Bye. For those who don't know, Bombsy is these series of videos over. Oh, it defies description. Hi, caller. Could you hold on just a second, please? I just want to get to what Jeff had to say here, because this is interesting to me. Jeff says, American gross domestic product is more than enough to pay for a robust Medicare for all system. We have almost $1 trillion for our military, but can't afford to aid people in need. Okay, first of all, people in need in this country do receive aid. I can tell you that 100% from a personal perspective. You guys know that my stepdaughter is multiply disabled. We have been for the last almost 30 years providing full-time in-home care for disabled people. We have a system in place for those who are unable to work, who are unable to go out and contribute. And it's not perfect. It works pretty damn well. So before we start this whole we can't afford to aid people in need thing, that's horseshit. Second of all, Medicare for all system would cost way more than $1 trillion. Third of all, it doesn't matter because, so what are you suggesting? That the country that spends the most on military in the world, and because of that, keeps the world in a certain safe situation through strength. That includes our protections of Europe, in Asia, all the protections we provide throughout. We just drop that at a time when Russia and China are actively looking to ramp up their militaries, and you think that wouldn't create an entire new world order of sorts? That just always amazes me when people complain about that. Well, we spend this much on our military. Yes, to keep you safe. That is so short-sighted. And again, Medicare for all, $1 trillion, drop in the bucket. Again, just to use Cortez for an example, to pay for the socialist programs that she has projected, the left-leaning economic experts are putting a price tag on it at about $40 trillion. So I've never understood that connection. Well, we'll just pay less on, we'll give the military less. Well, we look out for a lot of Europe. We look out, of course, for Japan, a lot of Southeast Asia. Our strength keeps a lot of the world safe because there are elements out there, certainly in Iran and places such as that the only reason they haven't taken action against not only us, but other parts of the free world is because of our military might. And I don't understand how a good solution is to drop that military might. That just blows my mind. Sorry, caller. Who am I talking to?
Wolverine.
Hey, Wolverine. Good to hear from you, pal.
Good to hear from you too, man.
So what's up?
Not much. I was going to say, we are really fucked right now socially.
Okay. How so? I don't disagree with it. How so?
I mean, so first we had Bernie Sanders, who was saying free everything.
Right.
And that would be terrible because higher taxes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the taxes
everyone.
would skyrocket. Absolutely skyrocket, without
Definitely.
question. And what really frustrates me about it, Wolverine, too, is they, whenever they're asked, how are you going to pay for this, it's always the same ridiculous answer. Well, we're going to tax the rich. Okay, but stop talking pie in the sky and start doing numbers. When you figure what the rich already pay in taxes, how much room you would have to tax them more is not even... to say it's a drop in the bucket would be an overstatement of what all your programs are going to cost. And yet everything that they propose, whether it's health care for all single payers, health care, or free college for all, whatever program it is, it always goes back to that same thing. Well, we're going to make the corporations and the rich people pay their share. That doesn't add up. Write down some numbers that make sense. Not optimistic numbers, not numbers where you're assuming that this is going to happen or hoping that that will happen. Real numbers, and it never goes on.
Definitely, yeah.
But yes, I agree with it. Nothing, and the whole idea of free, whatever, fill in the blank, free health care, free college, all of that is a misnomer anyway, because none of it is free. It's just a matter of who pays for it. Nothing is free.
The only thing that is free on this planet is the air that breathes naturally.
Pretty much.
The air that blows freely.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's the thing that gets me too. It just irritates me them even using that word. And what irritates me further is the people who don't question it. When you got a Cortez or a Sanders coming out there saying, well, how about free healthcare for all? And everybody goes, yeah. And it's like, where does free healthcare exist? Where in the world? I don't know of any place in the world that has free healthcare. You have single-payer healthcare where people are taxed at an exorbitant rate to pay for it. They call that free? Yes, I saw Galahad said Bernie wanted to tax the rich 90% at one point, which is... And now think about that, too. How would that trickle down? Now the rich people who are providing the majority of the jobs, and rightfully so, want to keep a hunk of their money. Where are they going to cut? They're going to cut in those jobs that they provide. Yes, Andrew, good point. Oh, you're taxing us more? Okay, goodbye, 1/4 of employees. Sorry, other guys, you got to pick up the slack without a raise. 100%. 100% accurate.
And you have Trump who's stiffing his contractors as well.
Who is that?
Trump, who's who occasionally stiffs his contractors.
Trump was, again, I have no pie in the sky thoughts about Donald Trump because I voted for him was strictly on policy. As far as a businessman, and you're 100% right. There's no doubt that he was sleazy. I don't know enough. I don't have the information to go out there and say he did anything illegal. Whether he did or not, it's not up to me. I'm just saying, you know, for a fact, just with the way he utilized the bankruptcy system, he knows every little angle to push right up against the law to make himself more money. And yes, stiffing contractors is a matter of public record. You're 100% right. Yeah, and it's, you know what gets me too? Bernie Sanders, it kills me too when he talks about this socialist nirvana and everything. How did Bernie Sanders get so goddamn rich considering he never had a real job in his life? He's always been in politics, serving the people, supposedly. How many houses does he have? 3? What's his net? How many millions is his net worth? How's this socialism thing working out for Bernie? I'm wondering.
Well, all I know is I'm pretty sure that he also worked as a doctor at some point because feel the burn. Bow wow.
Check him out. All right, well, thanks, Wolverine. I'm going to let some more people get in. Thank you. I appreciate that, pal.
But,
okay, pal. Bye. That was good, pal. Check him out. Wow. Hi, caller. Hold on just a second if you would. I'm going to get a couple more comments in here. Thomas, I agree with this too. Thomas says, if America ever wanted to implement more socialist ideas or values, it has to be done over time and maybe not even to the degree of other countries where the structure for them is already built. I completely agree with that. That's my issue with the current state we're in America right now, is when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to college debt, it seems like nobody looks for real, viable, workable solutions. It's always one extreme or the other. It's always, screw that. I'm not, you're not touching my taxes to pay for healthcare for people that aren't working to pay for their own. That's not fair. I know too many people that work their asses off and just can't afford what they need. And then you have the other side going, well, let's just obliterate the whole system because everybody should have the same thing. And where's the money going to come from? We're going to pull it out of our magical fairy asses because they won't come out and say, you won't hear Sanders say, you won't hear Cortez say, we're going to have to tax you for it, which is what you're going to have to do because they know that's where their support ends. So instead of real solutions, and it's what Thomas is alluding to here, where you get a system with healthcare where you say, okay, what is working? Mine works fine. I don't have a problem with healthcare. Okay, you got millions of people that's working for. Okay, let's leave that. Now, we've got these people over here working, trying to get ahead, and they can't afford the health care they need to take care of themselves and their families. How can we go about structuring taxes to where we can help these people? It sounds like an oversimplification. It isn't. Help those who want to help themselves. We already have a really decent system, very decent system. I can tell you this from personal experience of helping those who cannot help themselves. The Medicare, Medicaid system, for all its faults, overall, it keeps people alive. It keeps people with health care. It's a good thing. We deal with it every single day. So you've got this sector that's working, contributing, and just can't get the health care they need. Why not just help them? Why does it have to be wipe everything out and start over? I don't get it. Okay, caller, are you still there?
Yes.
Yeah. Who am I talking to?
I'm Joe Carter.
Oh, hey, Joe.
Hello.
Good to hear from you, pal.
So, where to begin?
Sure.
First things first, socialism. Oh, I really don't like it if people switch up socialism with social programs or social democracies. There's not one single country in Europe that lives in socialism. Not at all. It's more like we are all capitalistic countries, but democracies. But some of them are social democracies.
Right.
So
And that's what that's what I thought was the case, Joe. And this is why I love having you guys on here. So basically, you have democratic societies with that provide more social programs than do we here in the U.S. That's basically what it is, right? You have a capitalist society that has more social programs. Is that accurate?
Exactly. And of course, everybody is cherry picking, as you phrased it. Bernie Sanders is cherry picking, but his supporters as well, but also his opposers. Everybody is just cherry picking about our system here.
I agree.
Bernie Sanders and his supporters, they just tell you this. They paint this utopian image of our society.
Yes, they do over here.
True. But also the people that are against this, against our system of healthcare, for example, those are just telling you the drawbacks,
right?
The taxing and so on. But I believe that the perks outweigh the drawbacks, in my opinion.
See, and I agree with you, Joe. After talking to Joe the other day, and for those who don't know, I'll recap once more. Joe lives in Germany. He has a good handle on how things are structured in Europe altogether. I love talking to him about this stuff. So basically, what it comes down to, from talking to Joe, is there's no perfect system. There's never going to be. But if we really wanted to learn with what Europe's doing, because there are some things in healthcare they certainly do better than do we. If we really wanted to learn from Europe and try and implement things that will make our system better, rather than trying to overhaul our system into something that's going to literally destroy lives with taxation, it can be done. We can learn from what they're doing. Like Joe says, there are things about it that work. There are things about it that don't work. I don't understand why it seems so, and I know I just said this, but it seems so complicated to say, listen, what we need to do is help everybody be able to get health care. I think we do that by rewarding companies who provide decent healthcare systems, and you could have parameters for it. Provide them with tax breaks for providing their employees with decent health care. I think if you had to raise taxes even minimally, but the public knew that it was to help people who are actually out there working and trying to get ahead, I don't think you would have trouble getting that over. But this idea that, well, and we hear it here all the time too, Joe, that Europe, and even more so the Scandinavian countries, socialism works perfect there. And it's like, they're not socialist countries. They have socialized medicine. And if you talk to the people like Joe over there, they'll tell you there are things that work, there are things that don't. Learn from both what works for them and what doesn't, not just, again, like Bernie Sanders wants to paint it as, well, everybody, if you believe Bernie Sanders, Joe, everybody in Europe is happy all day long, every day. You guys just got sunshine shooting out your ass because everything is perfect over there.
Okay. What I wanted to say is I'm kind of in the middle of this because I have experiences from Germany and from Greece, and from what I've heard from friends and relatives in Scandinavian countries, we all enjoy the same healthcare system, social systems, if it's in healthcare or in school or whatever.
Right.
But it's in some countries it's better, and in some countries it's worse. In Greece, it's way worse than it is here in Germany.
Right.
Of course, because there's this huge economic crisis.
They collapsed.
In Germany, it's better, but in Scandinavian countries, it's even better than here in Germany. The school systems are better than here. The health care system is better than here, from what I'm hearing all the time, from what I've seen. Not that it's perfect, but it's better than here.
Do you think, Joe, too, though, do you think some of that has to do with, in the Scandinavian countries, that you generally have very sparse population per square mile? Do you think that makes it easier to have these social programs be effective?
I don't know if that's the reason. Maybe it makes it easier, but at some point they would have to have had transition. And I don't know that much about the history of the Scandinavian countries, how they came about to reach this point,
sure,
which we are at right now.
Now, don't a lot of the Scandinavian countries are their income taxes are at an exorbitant rate, though. If I'm not mistaken, and again, I could be wrong about that. I've talked to people from Scandinavian countries here before, and you guys know my memory. But I think they had addressed that to me, that some of the tax rates over there are insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know about the Scandinavian. Of course, their taxes are higher than in America. Because they have mostly the same programs as do we. I just can speak for myself. What we pay for this kind of forced healthcare system is not that much, I think, for what we get. I have seen nobody in my whole lifetime here in Germany ever express what it's called. What is it called?
Discontent with it?
Yeah.
That's
that
fine,
they are
though.
not happy with the system, that it's expensive or too expensive for what we get, that it's unfair. It's very, very scarce if you hear such comments. Most people here are very, very pleased with this system. What I told you the last time is that, of course, there are these private healthcare people which pay more money, get a better healthcare, so they get some perks. For example, I worked in a hospital for half a year. That's why I have some experience from that. And there were stations, I think they called it. I don't know in English if that's the same. But there's the stations for the for the normal people, for the normal healthcare, and the private healthcare. It was on the first floor.
Oh, okay.
And they all have their own bedroom. They don't have to share it with other patients, for example.
Some of the perks.
Maybe they get treated a little bit earlier. But I was on the normal station, and there came patients in, and I brought them to their room. And once there came this man, and I brought him to his room, and there were 3 other beds. And he looked at me really angry, kind of, and he said, "I have what did he say? Something like, I ordered a single bed."
Wow.
Room. And I bursted out laughing because I never thought he really meant it. He said like he ordered a pizza.
I was just going to say the same thing. Like he got.
The more I laughed, the angrier
I got. Yeah, I'm sure.
And then I realized, okay, there was some mistake. He belongs to the private.
He should have been in the others. I gotcha. Okay, so like you say, there's, you know what you brought up there that I was really curious about, and I'm glad you did, is that the majority of people, though, seem to think that they're getting their money's worth from the system. That's important. I mean,
here in Germany.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, because again, at least that way, it's a function of government working for you. I think that would be more difficult to get Americans to believe because, again, we're used to paying taxes at a certain rate. So if you increase that to any degree at all, it's going to be hard to get them to say, yeah, I'm getting my money's. You know what I'm saying? It's just what we've been talking about all along. It's implementation.
Mm-hmm. And one more thing I wanted to say before I give someone else the chance to talk was for the educational system here. School is free for everybody, not just free. That's the best part, which is Greece, for example, is missing. School is obligatory. I think is the term.
I've heard that.
You have to go to school.
Yep.
If you don't go to school, your parents get go to jail.
I heard that
in
from
Greece.
some.
We don't. Yeah, in Greece we don't have that because I don't know why, but that's stupid. Because a lot of parents, mostly immigrants or refugees, not so much Greek people, but they don't let their kids go to school, and they grow up on the streets, for example, begging for money.
Right.
But here in Germany we don't have that, and everybody is forced to go to school, which is good mostly. I think there are alternatives. People can teach their kids at home if they can assure the state they can do that well. But for college, I wanted to say this is also a great system here. It's not 100% free, but if you can show that you cannot afford it, if you show the state what your parents make and for salary or whatever, and if they cannot afford it to send you to the college which you want,
And
the state is paying everything, but it's kind of like a loan. You have to pay them half back, something the half of what the tuition is. You have to pay them back, but not
until
instantly.
you start making a certain amount of money, right?
Yeah. As soon as you finish with
that.
college and you start working, you can start repaying them with rates or with what it's called. So it's very affordable.
Now, I've heard that before, Joe, and see, I don't have a problem with that system. That's very similar to what they've started instituting here in New York. Like I say, a lot of Braxton, because he goes to what we call a state university in New York, a SUNY school. If you make under a certain amount, then they will help you pay for that tuition. The only thing they ask in return is that, for instance, if he gets that assistance all 4 years, he's going for a 4-year degree, they ask that you work for at least 4 years in New York State, be a contributor in New York State for 4 years. Then you're free and clear. You want to go move, whatever, fine. But if you get out of school and want to move immediately, then they want you to pay that money back. I think that's perfectly understandable. I think that's an excellent system, and I don't understand why, instead of the conversation being constantly how can we wipe out school debt and how can we pay for everybody's college, why we don't look into things just like this. And I almost hate admitting it because I despise the way New York is governed. This is a quality system. It really is. It's put together well. It makes sense on all levels. It's not a huge tax burden, and it allows kids to go to school and really ease their burden.
About American schools, what I think, what you just said sounds terrific. What I think America really needs more than making college for free or whatever is focusing on the teachers in high schools. Because from what I've seen, maybe it was just the worst examples, but from what I've seen and read, most people are not happy, even the teachers. And students record on their phones the teachers in their stupidity or their lack of enthusiasm or whatever, and they are not qualified. I don't know. It's underpaid from what I've heard, and they're overworked.
That depends on where, I think, Joe. You have a lot of people. You have a lot of people in the high school system here that are very, very comfortable with their jobs. My daughter, she's not a teacher. She works in the offices here at the local school, and the benefits are very good. The pay average, but the benefits are excellent, and there's a lot to be said for having great benefits. Unfortunately, Joe, I'm going to have to let you go. We're running out of time here. But
sorry.
Don't apologize. That was excellent information. Thank you very much for the call.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it very much.
I did too. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. I'm going to hold off on calls for just a second, guys, because I want to get. Hold on a second. I apologize for doing this. But I like to make sure that the people in the chat are being responded to as well. And at the end of this, for those of you who've been with us for the Nothing Show before, at the end of the show, what I do is I open it up and we have the 10-second run. I'll open the phone lines up. I'm going to click on the caller. You're going to have 10 seconds, say whatever you want about anything you want, and then 10 seconds later move to another caller. So if you want to throw in a 10-second comment, please hang on. I paused this here because Lunatic Thinker says, you talk as if Europe is defenseless. And I did. And I didn't mean that. I'm aware that European countries have their own defense systems. Let me finish everything you said before I address it. Also, the U.S. military budget is bigger than the next 12 countries put together. Most of it are allies. Also left talks about taxing the rich and corporations. The last sentence, I'm not sure, Thinker, what... I agree. That's what I said. The left wants to tax the rich and corporations at an even higher rate than what they pay now. As far as corporations... I don't think you need to tax them higher. You just need to close some of the loopholes. But the rich already pay a ridiculous amount of taxes, a very high percentage. And I didn't mean to insinuate Europe is defenseless. I'm saying that Europe, without America's backing militarily, is in a much more perilous situation. And I think most of Europe would agree with that. It's not a case of braggadocio where we're trying to say, hey, you or at least I'm not trying to say you need us. No, it's not that at all. It's just the way that this is all transpired. For whatever reason, militarily, we evolved because we spent lots and lots of money on it here. And of course, that works out well for your allies. If America at any point is seen as being weakened to any significant level militarily, I think it will change the direction of the world, because there are too many people, most notably Russia, to a lesser degree China, to a great degree Iran, but they're just held back by their lack of technology, who are willing to jump on not only America, but American allies for their own benefits if they think it can be done. We've put ourselves in this situation where I believe we need to spend this money on defense, because we cannot afford, on behalf of the entire world, I don't think we can afford to fall behind Russia or China. And Russia is aggressively looking at expanding their military. Let me check, make sure I didn't miss any super chats. While I always keep a separate super chat page open, because again, I don't like people ever paying for something and not being addressed. Okay, we're good there. I just like to make sure as I have that pause that I don't miss anything anyone said. Now, hi Sam, did I pronounce that right? Are you a conservative? I'm right leaning. I wouldn't say conservative for things like, you know, I'm pro-life, so I'm sorry, yeah, I'm pro-choice. So, you know, I have a lot of non-conservative views. I would just say I'm right-leaning. I like Ben Shapiro. I don't agree with him down the line. One of the cases is just what I just mentioned, but I like him. Also, what do you think about how universities are silencing conservative views? Hate it. I don't think anybody should be silenced. As long as someone is not calling for harm to others, I don't believe in silencing them. I hate it. I think it's sad. I think it's pathetic. I think the fact that people need to go into safe spaces when Ben Shapiro is going to speak at their university is telling that these are not even functional human beings, as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. Europe needs to start expanding their military so that even if America's weak in the world is at danger. Now, that's the problem, though, the train. Because, again, now we're just talking to Joe, and Europe is already income tax-wise taxed at a higher rate than America, obviously, because of the social programs they do offer. So given that, if you start trying to build a military comparable to America's throughout Europe, the people there will revolt. I would think. I mean, when you see what it's going to do to their taxes, how expensive it is to stay on top of the world militarily, I don't think Europe can afford to do it. Great Meatball says, I'm Russian, so I have some different mentality probably. I would be glad to give some of my taxes to people they can afford free education, free medicine, no matter how contributing they are. Yeah, that's what, now Great Meatball for me, I was with you until you said no matter how contributing they are. I'm a big believer in if you want something, go out and work for it. If you want to reap the benefits of living in a society, help work within that society. If you just want to sit at home and do nothing all day, why should you have access to the same benefits as someone that's out there busting their ass every day, trying to get ahead, trying to do better for their family? As far as as my taxes paying for people who are doing just that, who are out there working and grinding away, and they just, they can't make enough to provide for their family, or they just can't get over that hump and make enough to pay for their health care. I don't have a problem with paying taxes to help somebody like that out. Not at all. And never will. I do have a problem with paying to help out somebody who doesn't want to help themselves. I think that's the very least you can ask of somebody is, before you ask for help from others, be willing to help yourself. Josh says, by all means, Europe should invest in a strong military. Once we sort out our other 5 billion problems, the EU Army isn't an answer to that, however. I'm with you, Josh. And again, this is coming from the States, but just knowing what our military costs and where the bar is right now so in other words, if you're talking about potential military conflict, Europe has to look the same places as do we in America. You have to look at Russia, you have to look at China, you have to look at Iran and other parts of the Middle East. Well, in Russia and China, just for Europe to try and get up to equaling the military might of Russia and to a lesser degree China, I don't know how the Europeans would pay for it. Again, you're talking about countries that have significant social programs in place that, whether you approve of them or disapprove of them, we all know they cost a substantial amount of money. Now, again, you're going to be adding such an insane amount of money to the tax rolls. I don't see how they would do it. There's a Christmas tree in the capital of London which cost $80,000. Holy shit, Lex! Yahoo, man. Go ahead. Oh, from the Ukraine. Glad to see you in here, Happiness. Goodbye says, everything is harder than it should be. I so agree with you. Sometimes I look at all this crap, I think, what has happened to this race? Goodbye. I completely agree with you. So many things. And it may not be simple solutions, but simple concepts to reaching a solution, like, for instance, with healthcare or with bringing down the cost of college. In America right now, it's always one extreme or the other. That's how the conversation goes all the time. Again, all extremism, and then everybody on both sides points the finger at the other side as to not being able to get stuff done. And meantime, again, you've got Bernie and the socialists over there going, everything needs to be free, like things are free. In other words, somebody else needs to pay for everything. And then you've got those on the other side saying, I'm not paying a cent to help out anybody else. I work hard to get myself ahead. All I worry about is me. So you've got no middle ground. It's unfortunate. Curtis moved to Discord. I'm not sure. We have a Discord. Ecstasy as far moved to Discord. I'm not sure what you're saying. Like I say, you guys know that we already have a Discord. I don't get time to get on there very often, but we already have one. Let's see. Sajil, I'm pretty libertarian on this. If you don't want to give your taxes to other people for free healthcare or education, you shouldn't be forced to. And see, Sajil, I'm with that to a degree. I mean, my personal opinion is, as a society, if you can give a hand up to people who are trying to just get ahead, I don't see any reason not to. But when you extend it back to the people that just don't care and have no desire to try and help themselves, then I have an issue with it. Let's see. Latin America needs to get its shit together, Anthony says. They always say move to Discord because they don't realize I'm calling you cell phone. Oh, you mean move the converse? No, I'm not gonna. I like you. Skype just works out much better for me in these, much easier and convenient for me. Dasbro says, I failed college, university, got dumber in the military. How qualified am I on the topic? I like that, Dasbro. That's interesting, Josh. This is an interesting analogy. Europe is the modern Athens and the U.S. is Sparta, I guess. Just so happens we're allies this time around. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was ever by design. It's just the way things have unfolded that have put America... Well, we had an arms race. I mean, we invested lots and lots of money into our military to create this military might. But because we've created it, now, from a worldwide perspective, we have no alternative but to maintain it. And that's why it makes me crazy when immediately, when you have the socialists start talking about how they're going to pay for all their exorbitant plans here, all their exorbitant free stuff, it's immediately, well, do you see how much we spend on the military? Well, yeah, there's a reason that money is spent on the military. And the thing is, if you cut that funding, if you allow America to become weaker militarily, all your free shit's not going to matter anyway, because you'll be doing it under somebody else's form of government when they take over. It's as simple as that. Signet says, oh, okay, I'm not sure what that's in. Meanwhile, people are upset to pay $50 of that $50K to food stamps. Okay, I think I missed part of that conversation. Ecstasy says, I don't really understand the concept of globalism. Countries are obliged to help other countries for some unknown reason. P.S. Yeah, globalism is shit. Now, see, I'm glad you brought that up, Ecstasy. To me, that's another case of extremism. Everybody, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying politicians, it's always, well, you have to be a globalist or a nationalist. No, you don't. You can have elements of both. Here in America, you can be nationalist in the respect of telling everyone, including your allies, say, listen, you know, whatever it is, militarily, specifically militarily, since we do have a lot of military might, there's no problem in telling European countries, Asian countries, we got your back, we're friends. You know, if somebody picks a fight with you, they pick the fight with us. However, that doesn't extend to trade and everything else necessarily. We have to take care of our own people first. It's not that we don't want to trade with you. We can't have trade imbalances with you. We can't do things that adversely affect our own economy because we have an obligation as a government to our people first. That doesn't exclude globalization in any way, shape, or form. We've got you. We want to have this camaraderie with you. We want to have this feeling of being allied with you. But we do have to take care of ourselves first. And that's not just America. Everybody should do that. I think every country should do that. Take care of yourself first. Maintain your relationships outside of that. I think it's the same thing as having a family. I mean, obviously, you're going to take care of your family first. That doesn't mean you can't have extended family and friends and other people that you also are with and will always support as well. Just Zombie Dude, good point. Just like all things, the truth lies somewhere in between. And that's the toughest thing in current American politics and current American, certainly social media, is there is nobody is looking for a compromise. Everybody is looking for either do it my way or do it the other way. Let's see. Absolutely. Yeah, ecstasy. I don't, again, why I think that might be one of the biggest sticks for me as far as extremism. Why is it always either nationalism or globalism? I don't understand that at all. The simplest thing in the world is to be a blend of both. And the most obvious thing to do is be a blend of both. Coming close to Chimera and our Chrome has been fantastic. Rick says the mods should all move in together and make a sitcom. Okay, before we go to our 10-second calls, let me switch this up because we tried to get this in last time and we didn't have enough time. And I know a lot of you actually said you were anxious to do this one. Let's talk about heroes. Now, you can take that any direction you want. You can talk about heroes you had as a child. They can be fictional characters. The heroes can be people who have really had a real effect on your life. They can be both. Let's talk about everybody's heroes. For me, to start out, as far as the heroes that are not people personally in my life, when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of Roberto Clemente, the baseball player. He was my first hero. Then it was Bruno Sammartino, the wrestler. Dick Butkus, the football player. As you can tell, I was a sports nut. And believe it or not, Secretariat the horse. I was so nerded out, man, when he was winning the Triple Crown and that seasons he had in 1972 and 73. To this day, I get weepy like a little bitch watching him run the Belmont in 73. But I want to see my hero is Greek goddess Aphrodite. Ooh, not a bad call there. Not a bad call there, Licks. I'm a hero to the Saiyan race, Napa says. Joe Kage says his hero is Julian Assange. That's good. Galahad says Pornhub is my hero. I don't know if I want to... No. Pornhub is a part of my everyday life. We all know that. I don't know if I want to elevate it to hero status because it'd be like... I don't know. For me, it'd be like elevating only Vegeta to my hero status without giving a nod to Goku. There's so many other great places to see the best stuff too. Steve Irwin Lifer says he is what inspired me to be so interested in nature, and for a long time I wanted to be a marine biologist. That's a good one. That's cool. Jamie says my mother was my hero. Very cool. American insurance companies HMO killed her. My undermining her care, and she succumbed to malpractice. I am sorry to hear that, Jamie. That's awful. That's awful. Trying to call again. Yeah, I don't have the phone lines on quite yet, Wolverine. I'm gonna put them on for our 10-second runs at the end. And again, for anybody who just came in, at the end of the show, I turn the phones back on. I answer calls. I say you got 10 seconds, go, and you can say anything you want to say in those 10 seconds, then we move on. The Elric brothers, not bad heroes, Katie. I love the Elric brothers. Captain Picard, Jeff said. This is fun to see because I immediately, as you guys tell me who your heroes are, and when it's somebody in entertainment or something like that, I immediately try to flash on, okay, you try and think, what era did you grow up in? Let's see. Zombie says, I personally am in the American Ninja Warrior community. Very cool. So I know all about heroes. I was an inspired kid, now I inspire kids. That's awesome. That's excellent. Let's see. Notre Dame is my hero. Robert. We are simpatico. Oh, I hope they're heroic for us in 10 days. Oh, I'm gonna be such a sad boy if we lose that game. I was gonna say I should live stream while I'm watching the game, but then you guys will just point and laugh at me while I'm crying. Andrew says Jack Mehoff is my hero. Well, Jack's a legend, though. Andrew, I think a lot of us would side with that hero. Ecstasy says, by the way, socialism is a bad ideology because socialists, for some reason, deny that Nazis are National Socialists and can't just look at Russian experience. Yeah, I mean, Ecstasy, you and I are in agreement for reasons even beyond that. I think socialism is not a good ideology. And again, like I said, for me, the overriding reason is because it promotes mediocrity. And I think the greatest thing you can have in life is hope and a desire to better yourself. And if that's economically, that's great. And socialism disputes that. I think everybody should have the chance to get out there and create something, do something, be something that can elevate them to a lifestyle they'd like to lead. I think that's a great dream to have. Robin Williams is your hero? Oh, Zero the Black Knight. Robin Williams was just an absolute genius. Oh, yeah, I love Robin Williams. Anthony says Spaz Kid is my hero. Yeah, Spaz Kid went, Josh says, perhaps the only thing more dangerous than extremism is people on the other side accusing those on the opposing center of being extremists. Yeah, absolutely, Josh. And I think, and again, when I say this, I want to be careful because I'm not one of, you guys know that, I'm not one of the old people that's like shakes his fist at technology. I love technology. But you can't deny the fact that it's social media that's brought us to that point. Especially the anonymity that social media provides. Because everybody's a big talker, everybody's a tough guy on social media, and they conduct themselves in manners that are inflammatory because they're kind of cowardly and they know they don't have to back up what they have to say. In other words, put it this way, for me, and again, don't get me wrong, I understand why people are anonymous on social media. I have no issue with it. I have issue with it when people are anonymous on social media and want to attack others. That's when I have issue with it. Because that's why I don't have any accounts that don't have my face to it and either Rusty Williams or Curtis Candy, the names I use on it, because I never say anything on social media that I wouldn't say to your face. I just don't believe in it myself. M says, I'm not sure I have a hero, but I do love Michael Jackson. That's serious, too, not a joke. You jokey joke makers. Michael Jackson, aside from anything else, and let's be fair, whether he was perverted or not, there's certainly evidence out there. It was never proven. But anyway, is, as far as pure entertainers, probably the best ever. I think Freddie Mercury had the edge on him as singer-songwriter, but as far as pure entertainer, he might be the best I've ever seen. I.O. Blink says, Rias Gremery is my hero. Good call. Although, my girl Akano. Rias was my top waifu for a while, but Akano took that over, and she's still holding the number one spot for me. Train says, Fat Man, my hero is St. Nicholas. Whenever you ask a person from Benelux, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, they say their hero is St. Nicholas, at least in most cases. Really? That's kind of cool, Train. I didn't know that. And I'll bet you that those people that say that he is their hero would not be happy to hear that some want him to be gender neutral. Cristiano Ronaldo is my hero. A great showman. Watched him since I was little. My idol in life. Very hard worker. Yeah, I'm not a soccer/football fan, but of course everybody in the world I think knows who Ronaldo is. Yeah, good call there. I think you'd have a lot of company with him as a hero. My hero is Shoto Todoroki, and Issei, I love Issei Goodbye. I think, probably because it's a booby anime, I personally think High School DxD is underrated for its comedy. I think the comedy in that series is just stunningly good. Holy shit. ZF Random Guy says, I really admire my coworkers in law enforcement. Awesome. We go through some pretty crappy stuff sometimes, but we stick together through thick and thin. You can help people and it's entertaining too. I like that. Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent hero. Group of heroes to have. Freeze is my hero, Napa says. Ecstasy says, I'm myself libertarian, and I believe that free market and invisible hand of market can unbiasedly distribute people, and smart people will always prevail. Hand of market can unbiasedly disturb people, and smart people will always prevail. I hope the smart people will always prevail, Ecstasy. I hope you're right. And you know what's purely indicative of how unfortunately we allow ourselves in society to become ignorant is the fact that Russia meddled in our election. And the reason I say that is, and of course that's a rallying cry constantly from the left now is, well, Trump wouldn't have won if it weren't for Russia meddling. Russia did not change a vote. They did not physically alter any of the election results. What they did was they posted mean things on social media or demeaning things on social media, things that demeaned a certain side. If anybody went on social media, read these things, and based their vote on them without using the vast wealth of the internet to validate what they read, then you're just stupid. You're just stupid. And unfortunately, it's stupidity that's dragging us down into things like debates where you have only one extreme or the other. That the extremism in America, again, the one extreme or the other, is a direct result, I feel, of social media. Claims Russia mind hacked people to change the vote. No question that CNN would claim that, Chrome, and that's the frightening part. And then CNN gets all up in arms. They're constantly got their butts clenched because Trump refers to them as fake news or enemy of the people. I've never been much of a fan of the fake news thing because I don't think they promote fake news. I think they promote biased news, slanted news. I think they write their stories intentionally leaving out pertinent facts. That is horrible. It's not even journalism, but for lack of a better term, it's horrible journalism. It's schlocky, and it deserves derision. But then CNN acts like they're somehow above all that when that's clearly what they're doing. I can give you guys a good example, and then I'm going to open the phone lines for the 10-second calls. It would have been last month when Michael Cohen, Trump's former lawyer, let me remember the details, came out and said that Trump knew of, and I should have looked this up beforehand, I could have given you all the details, but basically he said that Trump knew of certain happenings during the campaign and even prior. CNN wrote a big story about it, about how damning it was to Trump, and now look at this. Cohen said here that he knew about this. Trump has said that he didn't. He knew about that. He said that he didn't. There were actively on the internet at that time tweets from Michael Cohen saying the exact opposite, that Michael Cohen himself had published, saying the exact opposite, that Trump knew nothing of these things. Now, we understand that Cohen is now saying that, oh, well, no, I only did that because I'm weak and Trump manipulated me. However, in the CNN story, when you don't mention the fact that this man that you're quoting said verifiably the exact opposite just a few months earlier, you're not telling even close to the whole story because he's a liar. The one thing that proves is Michael Cohen is a liar. Which time he's lying is up for anybody to decide, but he's a liar. When you have a reporter that goes out and only reports what he's saying now and doesn't even so much as make a nod to that being in direct confrontation or conflict with what he had just said a few months prior, you're useless. If that writer of that story can say that they didn't know about the existence of those tweets, then they should be fired because they're worthless as a journalist. If they did know about it, CNN in itself is worthless as a news agency because you're not interested in reporting news fairly. And it goes, that's just one example. It goes on all day, all the time with CNN, with a lot of news agencies, Fox News as well from the other side. They do the same thing. But don't sit there and CNN likes to sit there and project themselves as this great protector of the people out there seeking to find truth. No, you're not. You're hacks. That's it. That's hack journalism, and you are hacks. Johnny, excellent. Getting your news from CNN is like learning about dairy farming from PETA. Well put. I like that analogy. Jamie, I'm so sick of the bias in media. Yeah, I agree, Jamie. And I'll tell you, you know what? Why I go after CNN all the time is because I liked CNN. I used to watch CNN all the time. Now, they always had a left lean. I can live with that because you could tell in the way they reported, and you can tell in things that their individual reporters said. They were leaning to the left. Understandable, I guess. Everybody's got to have a lean. But they reported the news fairly. Even if you could see sometimes where it hurt them to say certain things that made the other side look good, they said them. Now they've abandoned that altogether. Now, as far as I'm concerned, they're just a propaganda arm. That's all they are. Hacks, I tell you, hacks. Pretty much, Galahad. Okay. CNN may be bad, but they're no Namble. Yes, I'll agree with that. Okay, here we go, guys. I'm going to turn the phones back on because it's time to wrap it up for today. This is the 10-second run. If you call in, you'll have 10 seconds. I'll tell you, okay, caller, you're on. 10 seconds. You say whatever you want to say, and 10 seconds later, I go to the next person in line. Hold on, let me get my little stopwatch out here, which I should, one of these days, I'll actually remember to do that before the show. Okay, we're ready to go. All right, let me turn the phones back on. Okay, phones are active. I know it takes a few seconds before it actually does activate. Now, again, as you call in, you got 10 seconds. Say absolutely anything you want. Here we go. Ready? Okay, caller, you got 10 seconds. Ready, set, go.
Subscribe to PewDiePie and boycott Wall Street Journal at jerks.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. That was good. Subscribe to PewDiePie. Okay, caller, you got 10 seconds. Ready, set, go.
Everyone has a truth, but there is only one set of facts. However, since people can't even handle the basic truth, how are people going to handle facts? They can't.
Well put. That might be my favorite 10-second call so far. Seriously. Well put and without question, so true. Okay, caller, hold on. You got 10 seconds and go.
It's 0 and you still owe me my damn nudes.
Okay, we gotta get rid of this call in a hurry. Hold on. No, he's just kidding, guys. I don't really owe him nudes. Okay, let's move on. Okay, caller, you got 10 seconds. Go. Go ahead. 10 seconds. Hello. Hello? All right, that was good. That was my friend, the Invisible Man. Okay, caller. You have 10 seconds, caller. Ready? Go.
Hey, Curtis. Thanks for taking the call.
No problem.
Looking at my art the other day. I can't wait for going and P2 interactions and have a good Christmas.
Thank you, my friend. You as well. I hope you have a great Christmas, you and your family. Thank you. Oh, yeah. He's not... Oh, guys, I am so nerded out for this whole P2 and Gone thing. Oh, Hunter, I can't wait. Okay, caller, you've got 10 seconds and go. Go ahead, caller.
Traps aren't gay. Everyone should know this. This is official.
Now say it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. We didn't hear the beginning. It cut out. Go ahead. Say it again.
Okay. Traps aren't gay.
Oh, traps aren't gay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. That's...
Also, Rios' best waifu.
I can't disagree with you for that one. Thank you for that. Traps aren't gay. That's very controversial, but I can get with that. Rios' best waifu. I can't fault anybody for that. I've got her a strong top 3 or 4 and Akano, who is like Rias's left hand or right hand girl, as my number one. So yeah, I can identify with that. Okay, caller, you got 10 seconds and go. Go ahead, caller. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, go ahead. You got your 10 seconds.
It's me, Wolverine.
Oh, Wolverine, go for it, buddy.
Ravioli, ravioli, show me daddy's dickioli.
That wasn't... All right, I like that. That was an interesting choice for his 10 seconds. Very interesting. I like that. Okay, caller, you got 10 seconds. Go.
How many Dragon Ball characters does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know. How many Dragon...
What? One, but it will take 6 episodes.
That's excellent. Thanks, caller. I'm going to retell that just in case anybody didn't catch it. How many Dragon Ball characters does it take to change a light bulb? 1, but it'll take 6 episodes. Excellent. I like that. Okay, this is the last call of the 10-second run. Last one. Okay, caller, you're our final 10-second caller. Ready? Go.
How many drinks will it take for you to be with me?
No, none. Well, I'll have it. I'll have a cherry Coke in the D.
Sounds good.
All right. And I got in the 10-second calls today. I got a date too. Holy shit! This was a successful round of 10-second calls. Oh, yeah. You damn right, Licks. I got hooked up. And I'm getting a cherry Coke too. And some D. Huh. I wonder which I'll enjoy more. I don't know, but I'll report back to you guys and let you know. Well, thank you for being in with us though, Summer. I appreciate it. You guys make this so much fun. I enjoy the conversation so much. I love the 10-second lunacy at the end. I will try during the week to get our regular streams up as often as I can as well. And you guys know the next episode of the Nothing Show will be Saturday night, opposite Saturday Night Live, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. Again, guys, thanks for this. This was an awful lot of fun. I enjoy these to no end. I hope you guys enjoy the conversations we have here, and I hope you just enjoy the community of being around here, because that's what's so much fun for me. But thanks for this, guys. Had a blast. Got a lot of editing to do today. I got to get out of here and get it done. And I will see you guys on Saturday night, probably at some time before I think we'll be able to get a regular stream in as well. Thanks again, guys. I'll talk to you soon.